if you've got desires and if you believe God has a destiny for you, the best way to get there is to let God direct the pathway rather than to follow our own best understanding of how we should get there. When I first got back from the Philippines, I was getting lots of invitations to come and minister in different churches, and we had some great meetings. We got to share about the Holy Spirit. We raised money to build churches back in the Philippines, and I was on a real roll week after week, just going to some great churches, and I was starting to imagine where all this could lead. And then suddenly, after a few months, the Holy Spirit said to me, "That's enough of that. I don't want you to keep accepting these invitations." And it felt a little bit strange to me. I could see where this could lead in the natural. I thought I could have some more of my desires fulfilled. I can see how this might lead to fulfilling what I felt was God's will for me. But God said, "That's enough of that." So I just had to say no to the rest of the invitations I was getting. And then, seeing I wasn't going somewhere to preach, I was invited to go to a birthday party one particular Saturday, and again I felt the Holy Spirit say, "No, don't go." And I thought, well, why not? I don't have any other schedule on that day. So then I asked the Lord, well, what do you want me to do instead? And He said, "I want you to go up to Muli Muli," and it had to be the very Saturday of that birthday when He wanted me to go. The Lord was quite specific that I had to arrive that Saturday. And Muli Muli is an indigenous community a couple of hours away from where I live. So when that Saturday came, I drove up to Muli Muli, and I hadn't been there for many years. I knocked on the pastor's door, and it had been so long since I'd been there that at first he didn't recognize me. But then he recognized me and he said, "Oh, Brother John, you couldn't have picked a better day to come." They had a big tent set up, they had hired chairs, and there were hundreds of people had come from all over to be there for somebody's birthday. So I joined in the birthday celebrations, and then the pastor said, "Well, seeing you're here, you may as well preach tomorrow." So I preached in the church, and while the tent was set up, we held some gospel meetings, and I ended up staying with them and travelling with them with the tent from community to community, holding evangelistic meetings for about 3 months. And we saw people saved, and we even saw a new church planted, and I was able to assist the new pastor for several weeks in getting the new church off the ground. Now, it had been my desire ever since I was about 12 or 13 years old to be involved in Indigenous ministry. And whoever would have thought that I would have begun 3 months of ministering in Indigenous communities, even living there, simply by turning up somewhere without an invitation on a specific Saturday, and everything was already organised. If I'd tried to hire the tent and hire all those chairs and arrange an itinerary like that, it would have taken so much planning, it would have cost so much money. But by hearing from God, when He said to lay down the other opportunities I had and to be specific and exact in my obedience, God opened up something that I couldn't have imagined, I couldn't have achieved on my own, and it fulfilled a desire and a destiny that I'd felt in my heart ever since I was 12 years old. So if you've got desires in your heart, or if there are things you believe and you know that God has destined for you or for your ministry, take time to hear the specific guidance of the Lord. And sometimes His pathway to get you to where He wants you to go seems like the opposite pathway to what makes sense in the natural. But we're serving God,